Okay, is the music working? Can you hear me? I don't know what's going on. My keyboard and mouse are acting funky on one of my computers because I use a KVM switch, which allows you to use one keyboard and mouse with two different computers. And when on one side it works fine, but on the other side it doesn't. So I think the switch is going bad, which means I'll probably have to get a replacement. Yeah, it was fine for like a month or two, so I think it's starting to go bad. I'll just have to get a new one. After stream, I'll get one, but I'm not going to mess with it much. I'm just going to jump over to this side. I'm going to make sure everything's working, and then I'm going to switch over to the side I need to be on, and then we're going to start the stream. I'm probably not going to jump back much after this. I mean, between the computers, unless I can avoid it. Let's see here. Making sure I have everything I need open on this side. Got music. And we're all good. And again, sorry about this, everyone. That was somewhat frustrating. Oh no. Forgot to click one thing. No. Well, I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. We're gonna try. Hey, it worked. The restart usually fixes it for a while. Wanted to open the multi-stream chat feed so I can see all of the stream feed. Okay, sorry about that, everyone, for the late start. I had to restart my computer, my stream computer, because it was acting up. It wasn't allowing me to do anything with my keyboard and mouse. I couldn't select anything, couldn't change scenes. So essentially, I was stuck. If it won't let me switch back in the future, at least the stream's already started now, and it's where it needs to be, and we'll leave it here. I don't know. It's just something I've said since I was like in like middle school. We used to say that when we were gaming. How you doing, Midnight Tavern? Welcome. So we would like be playing video games together, and we'd try to pull something crazy off, and we'd say that because it just rhymes. No, I don't know where it came from. I think I heard one of my friends say it, and then puppy school motto. It could be. Could be a puppy school motto. So this map I found on the workshop before I started the stream because I wanted to talk about city walls today and how, because we now have multi-level available, city walls can be approached with a completely different, completely different manner. In the past, you usually had to stack objects, and that was kind of tedious. It also, it kind of leaned to being not necessarily easy to shape. But as you can see here, because this person took advantage of the new multi-level feature and has set the top level as nothing more than like a flat surface with crenulations, as likely the rooftop is just a flat roof, like this castle one is perfect for that. It adds a lot of, that wall aesthetic, and you could always put some stairs up on the other side to meet up at the top somewhere if you wanted to. Cave Beast, how you doing? Welcome. Apparently this map is based off of Dragon Age Origins. Ostagar. So if any of you have played that, you might recognize this. I played Dragon Age Origins years ago. During the live stream showcases, we pull maps from the workshop, which can have a mixture of stock and non-stock assets. Purdy. So typically, you know, it's a mixed bag when we're doing streams where we showcase maps from the workshop. When we do maps, or when we showcase, let's see here. I'm trying to think when it's stock only. So like when we have a reveal stream, that's 100% stock content. When we're most likely showing videos of our own and stuff, that'll be stock content. When we're hanging out, you know, showcasing community content, it varies. It varies. It's a big mixed bag. Why do you ask? But typically the point of the damn stream is essentially to provide AMA support while showcasing maps and assets from the workshop. So a lot of them are, you know, filled with, you know, some of it content made by our community members. Some of it's content that is scooped from third-party sites like Sketchfab and then shared on here with Creative Commons attribution, stuff like that. Cave Beast, what you been up to? Great example though, like here's stock, like barricades, palisades, and then these ones here are actually ones that my wife made, and then we shared on the workshop because I wanted some extra styles. This isn't even my map though, someone was using it, so that makes me happy. I like seeing the Mrs. assets in various works. Is my mic coming through right now? So okay. Big thing, okay, so if you want to share a map to have it shown on stream, it just needs to be on the workshop. So as long as it's on the Steam Workshop and set to public, then I'll gladly take a look. Awesome. And we do several streams per week. So if not this one, you know, we do a stream on Wednesday in our Discord, exclusive to our Discord. And then every other Saturday, we have streams. Today's is the Dam stream where we showcase maps and assets from the workshop. The opposite Saturday is the Dam Challenge. The current Dam Challenge is Garden. It's a map making contest using Garden as inspiration. So you make a map of any shape or size, you submit that map to our Dam Challenge channel in our Discord, and if your map is the winning map, you have a chance, well, you have a chance to win a $10 Hero Forge gift card, plus your map is the first map featured on the Dam Challenge stream when we begin highlighting the maps that were entered, and it's also featured in our weekly newsletter, the Cartomancer Chronicles. So, like this one here was the previous winner. So it's a great way to get a lot of eyes on your work, get a lot of people to download it and check it out. No worries, Cave Beast. I get it. I get it. What kind of decks you making? You know, in a time and place long ago, Mac used to play a heckin' lot of Magic. I had some pretty interesting decks back in the day. I hear all these new terms nowadays, and I don't think those existed when I was like younger and played, or I didn't know of them. Like people say like a commander deck. I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. But I played when I was like between like 10 and 14. And oh my goodness, my first job, pretty much 80% of my paychecks went to buying Magic cards. My friends and I, we'd go work, we'd leave our jobs, go to get with our paychecks and go to the card shop. Hey Gaz, how you doing? Welcome back. Glad to see you too. Appreciate you being here. How's your week been? One of my rarest cards that I like am very proud of, that I've kept in moderately good condition since I was like 10 years old. and I'm like nearing 40 now, so is a Sliver Queen. I don't know if you've I'm sure you've heard of slivers if you played that long. Week's been good, but not enough D&D. There's never enough D&D. There needs to be 8 days a week at least to get enough D&D, right? Man, this map is something else. So, would anyone like to see how these city walls were made? So mine is in a sleeve, inside a binder, inside of a sleeve, and it's been tucked away in a box for years, and it's in my house. So it's like climate controlled. Pretty good condition. I have lots of old like rares from like anything before Prophecy, essentially. I think after Prophecy is when I stopped playing. I propose that we get 8 days a week instead of 7. And on that 8th day, there will be nothing but D&D. That's my platform for office. But also on the other 7 days, you can have D&D. Nothing stopping you. It's just that 8th day, its sole purpose is D&D. Or the tabletop game of your choice. Let's just say that. There's someone watching me on TikTok named Cannoli Goblin, and I'm all for it. That name makes me laugh. Hardcore. Alrighty. This map is super cool. I'm gonna go open a new map so we can showcase how to build a city wall. Shall we? I think Prophecy is when I stopped playing because I got sick of like some of the things coming out. You know what I mean? Okay. So let's say I wanted to put like a walled structure, like a fortified little fort here, you know, outpost, whatever. So you can actually use the room tool to build walls. What I would do is just use like castle, or crypt is also good because they tend to have like stone. What you're going for is stone floors and stone walls. We can adjust the roofing later. We'll start with the basics. So let's say, I'll just do this one that says entrance, right? So I'm going to make a 10-foot wall that would encapsulate like a whole little outpost, okay? And this outpost is meant to be along a road. So I'll put a road coming through here in a minute. So now I've got what would be my city wall or outpost wall. But before I generate it, I'm going to do a couple things. I went into the AI setting tab here. I'm going to uncheck objects. I'm going to uncheck windows and doors, right? I don't want any of that because I'm going to put in that stuff manually. All I want is floors and walls. Then I'm going to generate this. Notice what it's done here is make me a nice little kind of defensive barrier. If I go up and look at the ceiling for this, not ideal because the ceiling auto generates, but guess what I'm going to do? Change it to castle. Now all of a sudden this looks like a nice thick defensive wall. You put a little fortification in here, some tents, some barracks, you know, a little mess area, you know, stuff like that. Maybe some towers, any number of things. But you get what I'm saying. It's really easy now to build a city wall. And another way to approach this that's actually something a lot of people don't consider is you can also draw another level on here instead of using roofing, because flat roofing is kind of limited to a certain amount of styles. So I'm going to just fill this in again, like I'm going to draw another level, right? I wish we could tell the AI generation to generate without a roof now, but unfortunately that's not an option. I will bring it up with the devs though. Anyway, so I'm going to generate, and we now have another level, right? There will be a ceiling here, which I need to delete. Easy peasy. Done. So I'm going to change this flooring, though, to be more in line with what I have here. Going to stone. Let's find us a stone that would match with that. Let's see. Pretty good. Okay. So now I've got like a stone rooftop, and then everyone's wondering, well, like, what about like the crenulations and stuff? Guess what? There are half walls, fences, iron banisters, roof borders. These are amazing little crenulations, but then you could pick which one you want. Half walls, all sorts of mix and matches, and there's like hundreds of them. So a lot of options between all the floors and all these half walls and things like that. You have a lot more options. Oops. I'm gonna use, there's one up here I liked. I think it's this one. Not getting it where. Weird. Not like adding it, but it's okay. I can just do this really quick. Quick little manual addition. Hoping to just add it along the whole outside. And now it's not along the inside, which makes it ideal for, say, like a staircase. So if I wanted to, I could go into the object menu, go to structural, grab me a staircase, maybe something like this. Like a staircase up to the top level there for the defenses. What other ones would look good here? We do a stone. One's a little something like that, or maybe one of these corner ones in the, yeah, something like that is always fun. That one doesn't match very well, it looks like. Hey Jacob, how you doing? Polaris, welcome back. Yeah, I remember Mercadian masks. I remember Mercadian masks as well. Dang. Been so long. You could just do a simple stair like this in the corner, or do one like this, right? And then an alternating one like this, and then we could just add another section there. So we could go to the edit room tool, select this room, go to re-edit shape, and just add a new one there. Boom. Not sure how to approach this, actually. Let me figure this out. I think there. And have that little notch there, and I don't like that, but oh well. See that right there? Oh, I know why it's doing this. Okay. There we go. But what is that? we go. It was a little bit more difficult than it had to be. But now it has that little inner border. But you could set these up in your corners and midsections, even like with like stairs going halfway up and meeting in the center. And then you have little barricades, or you could have an entry point here that you could cut open. Because yes, you could take and use the remove wall tool, or even put a door here just going straight through. So ideally, I would take the door tool, probably get a double wide, something with like a gate. Like we could do the drawbridge, or like this gate. Oh, what happened? Also can grab the wall tool. Add me some stone walls in here. Ideally something that matches that. So it's like what one is that? That one? Yeah. So now, like, this is starting to take shape a little bit, to be honest. I'm gonna rotate that around. Oh no. No. I guess it doesn't matter now. Rotate it. Rotate it. Because there's walls to pass through. We go up a level. See, that's a nice little pass-through area. Obviously not centered. I could do a better job. But they could allow people to do an inspection and pass through the area before they go to a neighboring kingdom. So it's like an outpost for some kingdom. If you want to pass through this area, you got to get an inspection and pay your taxes or something. Alrighty. I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool. The overall design is pretty neat. Though I did make a mistake when I was doing this. I don't even know how many there are. 17. Yeah, so no matter what, it's going to be hard to have it in the middle. Either way, you get the idea of how I can make city walls, make them like defenses, or this could go around a whole city, be a 5-foot wall, be a 10-foot wall. You could set it up as 20 feet tall if you want it. You could just keep going up and up and up. As long as you keep drawing up, you can keep going. Now, keep in mind, you can use the AI settings tool to generate stuff so it's just plain without any objects, windows, or doors, giving you a lot more control over the overall look and wasting less time trying to adapt and fix it. Oh my goodness. Oh, excuse me. Hit me like a ton of bricks. Hey, how you doing, Walrus? What's new with you, man? Missed you around these parts. I was outside sawing wood like all morning, and as a result of which I'm just like a little I think I just got a little bit of that up in my my sinuses, and it's still there, which is the worst case. Oh, that looks pretty cool. I just got to change the stone to be a matching stone. I'm also gonna favorite that one while we're working on this project so I know where it is. Probably should do the same thing with the walls, eh? Daggerheart, nice. Have you played any at all? Like a test, a one shot, anything like that? Or is this your kind of first go of it? Nice. By the way, thank you everyone for blessing me. I know that sneeze was wicked, so I apologize there. My sneeze is powerful. I've had people say that my sneeze makes them feel threatened. And I'm like, I don't have any control over this. If I try to fight my sneezes, they will burst my brain. And it's not like I'm trying to be threatening or whatever, you know? Allergies, man. I don't even know what I'm building anymore. I'm just building it. Just building it. Because I wanted to talk about city walls, but I was hoping more people would be interested in learning about it and want to participate in the conversation or have questions about it. But I feel like it's kind of been a dud topic today, so I feel bad about picking this as a topic. Need to build a shrine? What type of shrine? Threatening sneeze, a great wizard spell. That'd be a good one, right? That's hilarious, actually. Ah, gotcha, Cave Beast. I get you. No, honestly, I wasn't calling anyone out. I was just being silly. I mean, it's not a full compound as of yet, but I've kind of got the layout, you know? I'm really mad it's not quite extended enough to be equal. What I could probably do is just go to the edit room tool, and then we'll shape this out. One extra, right? And then we'll delete. Oh, only on that. Oops. Trust me, I think I know what I'm doing. Oh my goodness. Just quickly altering the shape of this. That's awesome, William. I'm glad to hear it. A shrine to the Lady of the Lake. You doing kind of a King Arthur type campaign? Now I gotta add that little half wall again, but we're getting pretty close to where we were. I think it's roof borders, and then I was using this guy. Oh. So Roll20 only just... So the big thing with Roll20 is that it's all web-based, right? Meaning you store your maps, your images, all that stuff is stored in their servers. And because of this, they had limitations on your file limits, right? Up until recently, they were very, very small. I think it was like 20 megabytes was the largest file you could support. I think they just upgraded it. I'm not 100% sure where it lies. But with that in mind, because of that upgrade, now video might be something on the table. We haven't added a video export yet because they only just recently added their like upgrades. So we got to play around with it, see what we can come up with. But what I would recommend for you is I have a little workaround that can fix this if you want to try uploading a video. So export your normal Roll20 map through the Roll20 export setting. So let's say you go to File, Export. Keep in mind, we're always like a step behind these companies because they will never tell us what their plans are. So they'll release an update and then we have to adapt to it, right? And they released their changes recently, so we didn't have time to make adjustments on our end. So what I would do is just do your normal Roll20 export for your map, right? Set it up, make sure you take a picture of your settings. So when you you can do an exact copy of this. Again, now what you would do is after you've exported it once for your Roll20, go into, say, a video export, right? And then just set it. I would probably do WebM low quality because it scales beyond like 4K and 8K. And then export it again, right? This will be your potential video upload, but then the other export you did from the Roll20 format will come with the script you need with all the walls and data. As long as you match the size of the export and the image quality, all the lines and windows, walls, doors, lighting will match up. So you do not need to do anything extra beyond that. You just got to do a second export of a video. Hey, AJ, how you doing? Hopefully that file size is under their limitations. I just don't know what their limits are yet offhand. I do know, though, they recently upgraded them. Remember, once you have that video export too, you can always compress it. Like try compressing it by half and see if it's still a reasonable quality to you. Hopefully that works for you, Fog. Let's see, yeah. Let's get back to building this. Okay, so I've got, there is a 2. Did I not bring it over far enough? Probably not. We shall see. Nope. Will not work. Okay, we're gonna do more adjustments. Home improvements, if you will. Watch me make mistakes. I do like how quickly the edit room tool really fixes this issue. I've recently become a big fan of this tool even more than I would normally be. Because I found that you can regenerate the room without deleting the objects, or like regenerate the walls without changing the floors. Basically, the edit room tool is a cheat code I've found. Okay, if I did this correctly. Oh no, wait. I didn't. I need to do some math. How about I just count things? That'd be a good start, wouldn't it? So this staircase needs to be here, and this needs to be the bump out. That means it needs to be 2 more, or like 1 more. That would be the bump. If I am correct. I don't know what I'm doing. because this will be gone. Gotta go down a level and fix that all here. Do you mean the ceiling, AJ? Honestly, I mean, I don't mind making maps on other streams, to be honest with you. If there is something people want to learn. But Map Maker Monday just has a lasered focused long-term build, you know what I mean? Okay, this is looking pretty good. Pretty good. Let's put some of the banisters. So basically every room type has a different ceiling. So the ceilings and roof are tied to different rooms. So let me show you what I mean. It's kind of a big token. Replica. A bard. So for instance, this castle has like this ceiling is one of the options when it generates this room. Now, I can very, very cleverly change this. If you go into the edit room tool, select the room that you want to edit, right? Then just uncheck everything, right? So it won't generate a new floor. It won't generate new walls. It won't generate new objects. It won't generate new windows or doors. But then you change the room type, say to any other type in the category or any other category for that matter, and then hit refresh. You don't see anything happen, right? But if you click this after, most likely we've got a new ceiling. Notice it's wood now instead of that weird stone look, which I actually prefer that. That's nice. And if you flip around, nothing changed because when I was in the edit room tab and selected this room, I unchecked everything before I regenerated it. So it kept everything the same. Had I left floors on, it would have changed the floors. Does that make sense? Yep, when the room's created, but then you can regenerate the room as a different type of room to get a different ceiling, but then keep the walls and floors you already have in place. It is a nice trick. Keep in mind, too, if you decorated the room and did that, if you uncheck objects, it won't delete the objects. It'll regenerate the room around it. I find that to be very useful. So let's add another section here. Need to edit the room. Just going to edit the room shape. Wasn't I doing castle? Oh, yeah. Hopefully, this one might be a little bit different because I generated it after. Anyway, it's okay. I'll fix it. Hopefully it just regenerates with this. Yep, it mimicked it because that's what it was. Because I was editing the room. Mimics it. That's great. Okay, so now we've got that section. Let's go We're gonna hit the roof here. We're gonna hit erase roof. Then select, oops, edit room, select this area, extend the room. And then lastly, we just delete these little teeny granulations that just popped up with the room generation. And now we have another space for stairs. Look at that. I like this. Come together really quick. I have to change that path a little bit, but pretty good so far. Doors, I think it was this one, right? Cool. Ooh, yeah. If you're gonna do half stories, anything like between stories needs to be done manually with objects. But you can vault rooms to be, say, 20, 40, 50 feet high. You just generate 5 floors, but you delete the floors in that area, or just generate it without floors and only walls at that level. So you can keep going up and up. That's pretty cool. I like that. What should I save this as? Roadside Outpost is what I'm going to call it. Or Trade Route Outpost. I like that. So another thing, Cave Beast, when you're generating a room, yes. So you got a few options here, okay? You've got, before you generate the room, you can raise it up or lower it. Before you do that, you can even rotate it. You can do a lot before you generate, like you can mess with the floor plan a lot before you generate it. Let's say you wanted to make a multi-story room, right? Just keep going up. And then when you have all the floors done, let's say I wanted it to be a 3-story tall tower or something with stairs, looping up, or ladders, or whatever. But I can keep going up as high as I want, and then at one point, just use the remove floor tool. You know what I should have done, actually? Just generated it without the floor. Let's try that. Oh, to save some time. Whoop. So notice no floor, and now it's a vaulted room. Go up another level. Generate it without that floor checked. Keeps going up. So now these are like, you know, this is a vaulted tower that could be like a bell tower or something, or something. Whatever. So essentially it's possible, but half increments of that, Like you'd have to put something in there manually because the floor has certain heights and the ceilings have certain heights. I think that looks pretty cool. Probably like a little check station here where there's like tables and areas where people can have their like stuff inspected and whatever, and then they're allowed to pass through. And then like guard points and maybe even raised towers on the corners, stuff like that. It looks pretty cool though. What kind of things could you use this for in your campaigns? I'd love to hear your input on this. Kind of does look like a Mayan arena a little bit, huh? You know, it'd be cool is if I sunk down an area below and made it even like into like a pit that goes deeper and deeper with more staircases and walls. So it's like kind of like a cool like an or is it Escher that makes the weird staircase paintings or art? But like technically, so you see the outline here, right? So we could do like an inner structure, something like this. Wondering. Let me in. How do I get in there? However, I do like that there's like a stand. That's pretty cool. Nice, Six Slice Toaster. Welcome to stream, by the way. What's your favorite thing about Dungeon Alchemist? In fact, I'd love to hear it from everyone in any chat watching right now. A 6-slice toaster sounds like an amazing convenience. That's cool. I like it. I'm gonna just save it again. Alrighty. So that's a great example of like faster to build. Gotcha. I guess for some of us, it depends on how we build. Like me, I feel like I'm kind of slow at building. But I love like extra detail and symmetry and stuff like that, you know? So these walls, we could pretend they're solid, or heck, they could be hallways that you could pass through. So there could be doors to go inside. Like on this outside here, I could put a double door going in, right? And the double doors lead into the hallways, and through this area here, I could even put doors there leading to the other hallways. So it's like they can't necessarily pass through that way when they're driving through with their carts, but we can go through and, like, you know, there might be areas in here for like storage for weapons, or like mini barrack outposts, hammocks along the sides where people might, you know, take a break. Or you could just pretend it's solid. For all intents and purposes, there's no way in there. It's just solid rock. That's the cool thing about a game of imagination. We can kind of just say, this is what it is. Man, oh man, though, do I like this build. It looks very clean. I don't want to do something with it, but I'm not sure what. Is the other app also 3D? Oh, those were there before I built the base. Probably will end up getting deleted. Lizzie, there's actually a couple. And a shrubbery. They're going. Boom, done. If the kobolds, there's nothing to heist. This is like an outpost where goods and services come through here because they just need to have an inspection to make sure they don't have anything that's like considered contraband in the nation adjacent. So there might even be areas below where we're storing things and like all sorts of stuff, because we could use this wall to have like little passageways that lead to downstairs areas. Or make a fairy ring in the center. Let's do it. It's guarded by the walls. Let me show you how to make a quick fairy ring. Excuse me. Looking good? So after stream, I've got to go get groceries. Did a grocery order earlier for curbside pickup. And then I'll just roll up, tell them I'm on my way and through the app and go pick it up. I really enjoy that because honestly, like, there's so many people in that grocery store usually, so don't like being around a ton of inconsiderate people that like to sit in the middle of aisles and chat or be on their phone, or like, you know, they seem like they've never been grocery shopping before in their lives. So it's nice that I don't have to deal with other people and just get my stuff and go. I don't mind people per se. I just think for some reason people forget how to be like normal at grocery stores. There's no logic to it. It just is. Like that, so you could use the hallways, but then you could also have stairs going underground. There could be like a whole complex underground to store stuff, ladders or staircases. I like it. I like it. Alrighty. Go find another map online on the workshop though that has walls, now that I've kind of showcased this kind of methodology. Honestly, though, I think going forward, this is pretty much the only way I'm going to be making walls. I also love that ultimately, if I wanted to like round out the corners, all I got to do is shape the room to that rounded corner shape before I generate it, and it'll work perfectly fine for that. It'd have little bump out crenulations that are rounded instead of square. I just went straight square because it looks clean. Oh, that's cool. Mycelia. Didn't like a phone network used to be called like MCI, right? Or am I like... I'm old enough to remember stuff like 10-10-3-2-1. Download faster, download faster, download faster, download faster. Come on, Steam. Show me what you got. Oh. So I woke up around 6:30 this morning. I started getting ready. And then I moved one of my workbenches, the one that has my saw, my miter saw on it. And I moved it out into the driveway because I was going to be cutting a bunch of wood, and even though it can catch wood in its like little pouch, like all the sawdust, it misses a lot. So I set it up out there so if there was any sawdust it missed, it would be like in the driveway, easy to get out of the yard using like a leaf blower instead of being like dependent on sweeping and leaf blowing the whole garage, which it gets super dusty really quick, gets all over everything. Don't like it. So set it up out there, moved all the wood, like, or got all my tools, kind of, oh, I need a tape measure, oh, I need my square, I need a pencil, oh, I need a hammer, just in case I need to kind of like once in a while there'll be like nails or staples in it, and I'll pull those out too, because they like will staple a label on the lumber. So anyway, I go through all that, and then I start measuring everything and cutting it, and it was like a tedious process. I spent about an hour and a half cutting everything. But honestly, like, I really have been enjoying using my hands making stuff as of late. It's very rewarding, to say the least. And I've been wanting to do these projects for a long while. I just didn't have the space. Now I have space. And now that I have workbenches, it makes projects so much easier. It's like, man, I've been wanting to build my son a little stand for his adaptive controller for his Xbox and his computer for some time. But I didn't have the room to do it. And now I do. And it took me like an afternoon to make it. I had all the materials on hand and kind of had an idea in mind, and then just went and made some measurements and cut it all, glued it all together, called it a day. Pretty fun. Yesterday I had a photo frame that had fallen because the hardware for hanging it had broken sometime. Oh, this is a really cool one. I'm like kind of getting the gist of it. And the missus and I went out in the garage and we fixed it together on the workbench. Really nice to just have a space that can pretty much fit anything. This is impressive, to say the least. Is it that made this? This is made by Tropism, who is a relatively new member of our community. I think they've only had Dungeon Alchemist about a month. But I remember when they dropped into a stream about a month ago when they said they got it. It does give off that elven vibe, huh? Yeah, the boat was a big obstacle. It kind of felt like a weight hanging around my neck, if I'm being honest. It ate up half the garage for years, and we weren't using it anymore, so it was just like, whatever. But now I have more space than I know what to do with, and it's helping me organize my whole house. Just little things that are like, I needed more, instead of doing it on the driveway or, you know, on a slab of concrete somewhere, or I had a tiny little fold-up workbench from Black & Decker that you can store in a closet when you're not using it. And that one is so small by comparison to what I have. Now it's like a backup if I need extra space. Thinking of giving it to my son, so when he moves out, he has his own little workbench. Yeah, it's been nice. Well, also, I've been kind of wanting to kind of have a space to just kind of ignore, you know, a lot of things going on in IRL that I don't really have much control over. So, it's been helping me kind of at least find a bit of peace and center myself. Man, look at the wisteria hanging here. That looks really pretty. This is a wonderful build. Definitely a vibe. Honestly, like, it's a great use of the assets from Fata Morgana, and you don't see them used very often. Most people would just immediately tie them to like a you know, a desert kind of scene, right? But I think in an elven environment they also work really well. To be honest too, I felt bad. I had all these tools, Atlam, from my grandfather, and I couldn't really use them because I didn't have a lot of space. I used the saw like once in the first 2 months I had it, because like to use it I had to pull it out from under the boat, put it on like a table and mount it up with like clamps, and then, or on that workbench, which it took up the whole space, and then cut stuff, which it worked. You know, that's exactly how we started building the other workbenches, was on that tiny one. I clamped it to it and started cutting all the wood, and by the time workbench 1 was done, it was like completely different ball game. My only regret in all of this is I wish I had started like maybe 2 weeks later, because the weather is so nice the last couple of days. I don't mind being out there at all. Like, I was loving it today. But I guess now I can capitalize on the good weather with the workbenches instead of waiting for finishing them. That, and I got a nice sweat, a little schwitz the last couple of weeks. I lost a couple of pounds working out in the garage. But like my current project, I'm building some of those. Y'all have seen those black storage totes with like the yellow lids, right? Yeah, Tropism's been making some really good maps. I'm sure y'all have seen these totes before. Yeah, Lizzie, they are. These ones right here, that's a stock wall. If you go to, here, go down and just take a closer look. That would likely be, let's look under, I think it's the upper half of the wall is tiled. You don't really see it when it's just the stone piece, but if you go to stone, it'll be one with an arch in it. Let's find that. Might even be plaster. I think it's like one of these ornamental walls. Not that one. Here, let's look and see if there's a tiled wall in here. Here, let's check plaster. It might be under plaster. Nope. Okay. Stone. We're gonna find it. This one. Here it is. Ornamental stone. Boom. So it's got bottom half of it is tiled, and then you go up, and then the top half of it is tiled, or the top third, I guess. So bottom third, top third, roughly. Or I'd say 2/4 of it is tiled, and then the center portion is not. Very cool, though. But I found this like app. Well, it's like a web app that like helps you make these tote like plans. People sell them, and that's cool and all, but I kind of doing my thing, doing things myself. And so you just set it how many totes you need, and then it reconfigures it and tells you the cuts, like the cut list. And I did all the math and figured out how much foot of like 2x4 I needed, and I bought the exact amount. I only had like maybe a little bit of waste, like tiny amount of waste. Did really good, and like maybe 3 feet of waste total with like end cuts, you know, across the whole project. So essentially it's this, but the only difference is I'm putting 4x4s on the bottom for extra support, and I'm putting caster wheels on the bottom so it can roll around. John, if you DM me on Discord, I can send you the link for this so you can kind of configure your own and make them. But like this, they're really neat because if you make them short, like 2 tall, it like 2 stacks tall, it can work as a workbench height. So you could put like a piece of plywood on top, or anyway, you could even on the outside of this put a little like another ledge piece and then put another 4 stack and then have a bench in between them. They're very versatile. You need like 5 of them. If you don't want to make them yourself, hop on your local Facebook marketplace. I bet you can find these like crazy on there and just buy them. Anyway. How you been, John? I like that little balcony there. Looks good. Tim. John Alchemist. Yes, but also and. Yes, Lizzie, it does have locking wheels. I honestly love all four wheels have locks on them. They're foot locks. Really easy quick release locks. I got for my workbenches, they're 4-inch caster wheels, and for my because they're much larger spaces. For the totes, they're 2-inch caster wheels. No, wait, 3-inch caster wheel with brakes. Most definitely. But I love me a good project from time to time. Helps me clear my head, helps me feel like I've accomplished something. You know what I mean? This map is beautiful. Very interesting, kind of mind-bending. You don't see many that kind of just like whoop, 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 like all these little paths everywhere. Oh my goodness. Let's go find another map to adore. As always, I love sorting by most recent. You know, I wanted to check out his map earlier. I downloaded it, but I didn't get into it. Oh my, can't see anything in there. See if we can penetrate the... Ah, I see. Oh, yes. An Ewok village. Wow. Quite cool. John, what you been up to as of late? Hmm. Usually I'm in support a lot, or the Damn Challenge channel. You can find me pretty easily. The Damn Challenge channel. Here, let me just appear online. I think I'm just offline, and that's making it hard for you. Should be able to see me now in the development team list in the people list for the server. Where is he? It is very hard to get into the canopy. I can only assume Swedish Cook added all the trees after, because it would be really hard to build with all the trees in the way. But dang, does it look cool. I kind of figured as much, because it would be very hard to build in this otherwise. I love the vibe though, man. Very cool. I think I got a message from him. There you go, man. Should be able to use that tool to figure it out. Man, oh man, Swedish Cook, you really went ham in this. I like your little staircase stuffs. Yeah. Yeah. Buzz, 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 buzz. Buzz, 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 buzz. A busy little bee flying around, checking out the neighborhood. I like the little details like that. How long did it take you to make this? And man, wouldn't it be cool if we had trees with split canopy? Like you could cut the canopy down to like the top of the village and see it. Oh, 4 hours? Not bad. You would get far more done in 4 hours than I would, so. Very neat. These little views where you can see through and see what's going on in there once in a while, it's pretty serene. It is. It's really great, right, Chim? You did a great work. Did a great job. Let's see here. Let's open up another map. I think I might have had one that was subscribed that I wanted. No, never mind. That was it. Hard to export? Yeah, it's not very practical for export at the moment. What you probably have to do is should have added more acid to the brine, huh? I know there was someone here named Pride earlier that was asking if I could check out their map, but they hadn't uploaded it yet, and they said they'd come back. I think that's it. Download it. I don't know if they're still here or not. They were earlier, though. Oh. Kind of stretching while I'm waiting. Are you having a science experiment over there or something, John? I'd like to be included with this because I'm so lost. Whoa. Rippy. Dang. When you cook meats, I mean, what is cooking if not just chemistry? Really? Cooking and baking is the most primitive and earliest chemistry of man. You know, fire and pressure and, you know, water and, you know, different chemicals and mixing things together. A few months ago, there was this trend of this dude on TikTok, and I found it kind of funny. It was definitely ultimate brain rot. But he'd just kind of dress as a caveman and find videos of people like making food, like modern food, you know, channels where they're like making some kind of recipe. And he'd only be into it when the meat was on the screen. If there was any kind of meat on the screen, meat! The rest of the time, he's like, no meat. The only other thing he'd be happy about was eggs. Like if they were seasoning it or adding any vegetables or fruit. Once in a while, if it was a fruit, he'd call it a berry. Exactly. It's pre-meat, so it's acceptable in his mind. Man, this is epic. Holy cow. How do we get up there? There be no door here. Probably below. Yeah, it was this bone stair that I fell through. Or no! Let me in! Ah! Bane, how you doing, bud? What you been up to, brother? You know, that is a bold assumption of me. You could be sister, actually, for all I know. What's new in the Bane world? Failed 3 more. You know, I don't know if it's a failure if you don't kill your party each session, per se. Some DMs might even look at it as a success if you're not killing your party regularly. Those pesky outliers. Twas it a hoot? My token's too big. I hit a wall. I couldn't pass through. Let's shrink her down like maybe 10-20%. I know where I'm going now. This place is huge. I think when the party is scared, hear me out. The party feels like they might die. They're going down, you know, they're in death saves here and there. We're making miraculous moves to try and wrap up, you know, like balance the action economy or save someone who's going to die. You know, or the party feels completely overwhelmed the whole time to the point where they are like frantically trying to keep the battle between them as they fight through it. Like, have you ever had a party kind of run and fight at the same time because they don't really have a choice? Fighting on the run? Yeah, if the DM isn't necessarily fudging to save their butts and the players are being creative or getting really good rolls, I mean, it's gonna be awesome. I will say this though, man, like I'm in a big like kind of dungeon run with my group. This last session, I think as a group, we had like 9 crits. We were insanely lucky with crits last session. Our paladin and our Sorlock each got like 3 crits. They were putting out some serious damage. Man, I got a crit against a construct, and the construct could absorb the lightning damage and add it as temporary HP. Yeah, these aren't workout machines, my friend. I don't know what kind of gym you work out in, but definitely not a workout machine. The thing about it, Bane, is we were playing on D&D Beyond, so it was like all digital too. So it's not like any of us were using dice that were more lucky. It was just D&D Beyond was favoring us today. However, I'm sure next session it'll probably favor the DM. The dice giveth and the dice taketh away. Change my dice on D&D Beyond? Nope, ain't happening. I'll be honest with you too, unless you were around years ago when they were giving away lots of free skins for dice skins on D&D Beyond, you have to like buy them now, and so a lot of people only have like 1 or 2 skins. So asking them to change isn't reasonable. Oh dang, John, that sounds dangerous. Was that against a player, or a player did that against an encounter you had set up? Ooh, haven't been here yet. Oh no. Did you down him? Like a whole other area I haven't even found yet. Here's like a storage area for a kitchen. Ooh, we've got some honey. Bother. I like how the toilet's just right by the kitchen and the food eating area. Particles, mate. Particles. This needs to be further away. Hey, at least they survived. I'm always rooting for players surviving, but I like them getting scared. Like they feel like they could die, or they're terrified of the situation, and they're like coordinating like a Navy SEAL team as a group, because they're like, oh gosh, we got to get out of this somehow, or do all these things to make sure that our team doesn't like die. I feel like my group, my player group, really is starting to click and be like more efficient and help each other out in that way. Like we have one person who loves to set like status effects in our group. They don't like to damage. They're more of a pacifist. They'll defend the group if it comes down to it, but they don't like making finishing blows, and they don't really like damaging things. But they have been clutch at like dropping fairy fires, and clutch at dropping enlarge reduces, enlarging a teammate or reducing an enemy that's super large into like a large one into a medium, or gargantuan into large. Super fun. I think the closest I've ever had a bathroom to the kitchen in any homes that I've been aware of, like growing up or whatever, right? Like there's always a room separating them. Like in my house, we have a half bathroom in the same floor as our kitchen, but it's like separated by our living room space and like 20 feet or 30 feet of walking space. Most of our bathrooms are like closer to like bedrooms or utilities, or in like a bedroom, like a master bedroom will have a bathroom attached to it, so you can like go to the bathroom in the middle of the night with ease. Oh, you mean like that movie with well, like they did it in what, The Mummy, and also what was that Tom Cruise film when he was just a lad? And it had Tim Curry as the devil. What was that called? You know, one thing we do have that could kind of work, just going to throw this out there to you. Yeah, it was Legend. That's right, Lilandra. Thank you for filling that in for me. So, there is an Archimedes mirror, right? So you could grab one of these. I'm going to disable collisions. Have it out in the sun, right? They don't reflect light like this, but I'm going to have fun with it and pretend. And then we'll put another one here to like gather the light from that one. But what we'll use is the new abstract spotlights, pretending they do something this intense. I'm going to shine some light on this. See what this looks like. Make it as bright as we can, right? Maybe even white light. No, the orange light looks kind of cool. Hey, see you later, John. Hey, that sounds delicious, man. Have fun. Send me a picture of that, brother. But we can use this, right? As like a spotlight of it reflecting light. Sadly, though, there's only so much distance it offers. It like hits a wall. And then we could put another abstract here to see like, oh, it did gather something, right? We could just add abstracts all through this. These abstract lights can add light all through the area, but then they're invisible. And then we could use this to like, oh, this casted mirror light through this area. And you could even make them smaller. They don't have to be this big. But you get the idea. Because the abstracts, when you're done, they're invisible, and they're invisible upon export. So it's almost like, yes, you are getting light from these somehow. I don't know, just a thought. That's kind of how I'd approach it. It's more immersive looking like that than it actually is that, you know? Because I don't think we have a way to transfer light between like mirrors. Man, mirror light linkage would be insane. Or like light effect linkage between mirrors, kind of like how we arc electricity. Yeah, right, Mondu. So they essentially allow us to have like a really good chance to excel, get crits, you know, fish for crits with advantage, or like make us have a more level playing field. And they're going to start taking spells like Hold Person, Hold Monster, Banish, you know, Bane, Bless, things like that, so they can help us and take them out, you know, or lower them. Hey, see you later, Gauze. Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate you. We'll see you later. Does this like seem acceptable for like a mirror light type option? Because usually they would do it like with like a kind of not necessarily flat. It would have kind of a little bit of a in theory, you can hide extra dimensional thing to connect between the mirrors. Extra dimensional. Oh, like the pillars, like these, right? we could have it up above, right? Something like this. You could shrink it down in it. Whoop. And then you could have a couple of them in here, but they're not linked yet, right? And it gets darker as you get back here. And then your players will be able to see there's not a laser linking them. That could be like a thing they have to do. They have to rotate it to get it to link. You know what I mean? Gosh, that'd be cool. Ah, that's fun. Yeah, that's a good idea. Because then there could be one like, you know, over here, but it's not like linked up right? Or even up on the top. Because this one's turned incorrectly. Heck, you could even put a pillar like in the wall over here and have it like aimed in the wall instead of at the mirror. I don't know, that just seems like a fun little immersive thing, but you're like, see up here, it's darker, right? You can see there's mirrors around, but there's nothing going on up here. Heck, there could even be one just sitting right here, or a bunch of parts on the ground that look broken, so it's like, oh man, there was a mirror here. That's a good suggestion, though, Mondu. Thank you for the idea there, bud. That looks really clean. But my players would probably think this is some elaborate trap, not some kind of interactive puzzle. They'd be like, yeah, we got to do some crazy like Mission Impossible stuff under the lasers and over the lasers. Someone would probably do some crazy acrobatics check, and I'd be like, you run and tumble like a gymnast end over end doing, you know, forward flips and back handstands and ending in an aerial over all of the lasers, and nothing happens. Even if they failed. You ran through all the lasers, tripped them all. Oh, see, you're mean. I wouldn't let it do contact. I think it's just, it's like showing an energy beam. To do that would require a lot of work, more than you may think, because we would have to probably make a module for each virtual tabletop that would tell it, hey, this is what this object does in the virtual tabletop. What I would recommend is having multiple versions of the same area of the map. So like here, clearly they're supposed to interact with and line up the lasers and get them to somewhere, then it will go to somewhere else, right? So once they've done the puzzle and lined them up, then I'd have a map that a new scene they'd transfer to with that information on it. Does that make sense? Though I do understand what you're saying, like, hey, they opened a chest, the chest opens on the map. They opened a door, it opens on the map. That would require hundreds of variations of the map, or doing what's called tile creation. Now, you can make tiles in Dungeon Alchemist. We have the green screen biome for that reason. It allows you to make tiles of animated objects or interactions with objects, like opening a chest or a drawer, this wardrobe here, anything like that. You can record that interaction and then take that interaction on the green screen, put it into a video editor, edit out the green screen using chroma key removal, and then save that as a WebM, which would have an alpha channel that's transparent. And at that point, you can set it up as a tile in, say, Foundry or Fantasy Grounds. And if your players open a chest, that would be on top of where the chest is in the game on the screen. And then you just click that button and boom, opens it. So it's like it's an interactive piece on the map. And I've done that with, say, like the drill that we have for like a big mining drill. I've also done it with windmills. You could do it with a lot of different things, any animated object for that matter. And remember, if you're in, say, the cinematic camera, or if you're in the cinematic camera and you're in like the top down mode, if you've come up to or in any camera really, if there's like an interactable that you might be able to open like this, it'll trigger it. And you can record and open these doors in first person or in the cinematic camera, and that will actually not show that button or the UI at the top when you do this if you're recording. So that's actually invisible in the final recording. So you could say your players walk up and open a chest. You could walk up to that chest in first person, open it up and record that, send it to them as like a handout that you pre-recorded. So you could show the players what it was like when they opened this, drawer. So there's several ways to interact with them on that level, I would imagine, Icebreaker. Though I do like the idea that I think ultimately it won't be practical until we have our own virtual tabletop. If we had a standalone Dungeon Alchemist virtual tabletop, it likely would interact with Dungeon Alchemist's object interactivity and things like that a lot more. This map's pretty cool. I showed this map the other day on stream, but it is quite epic. I'm just going to load it up so we can take a look. I'm going to say, too, we only have about 10 minutes left in the stream. So if you have any questions, concerns, feedback, anything like that, let me know, okay? And a lot of people ask us, hey, why do you make all of these objects like interactable or have all this detail if it's only visible on 3D? There's several answers, but from an artistic and an advertising standpoint, it's much easier to showcase the beauty of a 3D map builder when you have different 3D angles of things. That's not the only reason, though. It's not for advertising purposes solely. The fact that our community has come up with dozens of creative ways to use the different objects or the different items and things like that within Dungeon Alchemist, as like a tile creation, like the thing I just demonstrated or told you about. Let me find a video of that. Actually, I think I have a demo of it. You'd like to know more about recording and adding it to a VTT, i.e. making a tile, Yellow Shark? Okay. By the way, welcome to the chat today. How you doing? So, as some of you may be aware, this is going to get really green, by the way. Sorry about this. We have this green screen biome, right? Oh man, I am so washed out. So I essentially have a map where I can put objects on it and then export a 30-second whatever video. And then I turn this into an animated tile within, say, Foundry. So this is that same drill, right? Placed in Foundry as a tile object. So now, it took a step or two between this, but I recorded it in DA, took that recording, put it in a video editor, which depending on your video editor, the steps there are going to be different for every video editor. But the gist of it is you need to import the green screen video and then find your green removal or chroma key removal, remove all that green to your satisfaction, which there's usually fine tuning. You can adjust the level of green or the intensity to get it to a very nice clean cut. I'm going to leave this on repeat. I am a super mutant. But the reason I did this is on this map, there's two of these drills over in this area here, and I thought my players might want to reuse them, and I knew they could follow the drive along the tracks with it. So if they wanted to, I made one that was animated. So if they said, yeah, we want to get one of these drills running and drive it over here, then I would have it ready for them. It's essentially superimposing. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how Foundry and Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 wants you to approach this problem, is by superimposing images on top. Here, I have a map that's ideal for this. No, we're going to look at this map in a second, okay? Stand by. I'll give you some information if I can about this so you can try and make it work. I haven't done this in a while, though. So yeah, that's all it is this drill on this green screen biome. Let's look at the map size. Oops. So if you look here, 20 by 10, okay? What I was going for was as close to 1920 by 1080 as I could, right? I thought I had a 20 by 11. No, okay. But the thing is essentially it exports it like with video. When you do a video export, no matter what, it's it like caps out, I think, at around 105 DPI. And essentially what happens is it gets you right around to like 1050 by like, 20 something. It's very close to 1920 by 1080. It's a nice wide format, and you can always crop it to be the right fit, So essentially, it gave me an opportunity to, export it as a video. Which you can do an MP4 or a WebM is the ideal. I mean, it doesn't really matter because once you put it in the video editor, you remove the chroma key and save it as a WebM. The WebM is just crucial because WebM is the only video type that I'm aware of that allows you to have an alpha channel that's transparent. And that's crucial for this. I might make a tutorial about this or something. Sorry about this weird green. Radioactive Mac. over here. Yeah, I do have that Max Headroom vibe, don't I? So when I exported this, it ended up at 2040 by 1122, which is it's over 1920 by 1080, which means I can crop it down to a perfect 1920 by 1080, right? Which is the important thing I'm going for here. So in your case, opening and closing the gates, what I would do, man, is just have two states of the map. Gates are kind of going to be a hard one to animate and capture especially like in a way that seems convincing. What you would do is have another scene of the map that's the exact same map, just one with the gates open. So once they've had the gates open, or if they've closed the gates, then you just load the scene with the gates closed, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So you export once with the gates open, export again with the gates closed. Now, if you wanted to animate that, you would use the green screen and make sure you have that exact gate, right? And then you would export a video of you like just screen record from top down of you opening the gate and closing the gate, or just opening the gate, or whichever state you wanted it to be that you captured. And then you would put that image, the tile right on top of the gate in the map, or where the gate should be, and then you click on it and open it. But the problem is it's just going to loop over and over again. It's not a one-time thing. That's why, like, things that you need something to be in an open state or a closed state, it's best to just have two versions of the map, or a destroyed state and a nice state, or a night version and a day version. Best to have multiple versions of the map for that reason. Unfortunately, though, I do understand what you're going for, and it would be very dope. Like, the future of virtual tabletops and interactive gaming with TTRPGs and stuff, it definitely is heading that way. I just think it's probably a couple of years before it's like fully realized, where like your players can be interacting with this live map in real time, kind of like a video game. This little village is so spectacular. There's alleys, okay, little parks, and like multiple tiers. So it's like got stairs going down to a lower area. That would probably be my suggestion, though. I prefer that, is that first person view, because you could walk up to it, right, in first person and just say, hey, as you guys approach the gate, and the gates open for the first time, you are overwhelmed by the sights because the gates are just so massive, right? And you can narrate it in your own style, but have a video as a handout to give the players a scene that they see of these gates opening. I love doing scenes like that as the first time they go into a tavern that they've never been to, so they can kind of like, that like typical, they walk into the tavern for the first time, kind of look around and see all the people, see the barkeep, the people maybe turn and look at them, like the intro in Star Wars, or like someone going into a saloon. It's essentially that first person perspective of that view. And then they can see it from that. And then I go into the top down. Does that make sense? But the first person recording, or the cinematic recording, would be a great way to approach this problem, because you can open the gate in that view and it won't show that UI. I think ideally at the moment, probably the best solution. I think that they were trying with the 4E virtual tabletop that they were making, but then there was all that controversy behind the developer like murdering his wife or something, and then they just dropped the whole development. I don't know exactly what happened to that. I've heard it like second or third hand multiple times. So, but yeah, they tried 2 years ago, and then virtual tabletops were essentially a way to play online, but also make it kind of a digital feel. But I think as video games became more mainstream, virtual tabletop play became more common. And then as the pandemic happened, people needed an online way to play. So virtual tabletops came to the forefront like overnight. And there's been almost an arms race, a lot of adaptations and changes in the last few years because of all that interest and money and investment into it. There's like dozens of virtual tabletops and map makers, and I love Theater of the Mind, but I personally don't care for it for combat. Nothing against people who love it. Theater of the Mind is a great way to explain a new area or something kind of vast and massive that would be hard to replicate in DA. I personally hate it when I'm in combat and I have to ask the DM, so how far away am I from this guy? When I could just measure it in a virtual tabletop or count the squares on a map myself. You know what I mean? It slows things up. It gums up the works sometimes, is all I'm saying. And not everyone has like a mind's eye that they can see what's going on in combat. I think anytime distance, like measuring distance is involved a lot, Theater of the Mind can kind of struggle. That's all. But if the player group's used to it, it's usually fine. Ultimately, though, I do think that like nowadays, there's a lot of youth who, you know, may not have like the same like imagination that we do, that were raised in a different generation that like read a lot of books and like, anyway, like my generation was raised on books, and like fantasy on TV was like a new thing, and anime was a new thing. And it's like, I think the world of creativity was completely different then than it is now. And I'm not saying kids this day and age aren't creative or imaginative. I just think they imagine totally different things. You know what I mean? And also people all have different ways of learning. Some people are audio, like learners, some are video, like visual feedback is important to them. Some people it's repetition, right? I think having a beautiful representation that your players can see from different angles is a wise move as a DM, because it allows you to effectively tell your story and like run your gameplay for a group of players who all perceive it differently. You know what I mean? Maybe universalizing the environment to them is a good way to help them perceive things slightly the same and kind of be on the same page. Does that make sense? Tracking a bunch of positions in a mental image while dealing with the most imaginary thing D&D has Imperial measurement system. You know, it's funny you say that, but that's my measurement system. It's not imaginary to me. So it actually makes me happy for once that there is one place that uses it besides, you know, just our overall entire society in the US. It's funny though, because I use metric quite a bit because I do a lot of prototyping and like 3D printing. So I'll measure things with like calipers, and everything you do is in like millimeters there, not inches. It's always funny when I have to go like find a conversion chart for like, what fractional size wrench do I need for this in millimeters? It's frustrating, trust me, it is. But I guess I have more options at the end of the day. Well, it does help you perceive it, right? You kind of have to, it helps you if you can kind of tie it to something you already know. Maybe something you've seen in a movie or a book, read in a book, or, you know, whatever. Even a pop culture reference. Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. The circles, for sure. Or like the measuring tools for like various spells and stuff. Those are definitely really cool. You know, one thing I don't like is a lot of people have this kind of idea of a fantasy setting that's kind of set in like medieval times, right? Fantasy, first off, in medieval times were people casting spells and stuff like that, where they like flying. Like, I don't think a fantasy necessarily has to be medieval. And I think a lot of DMs get caught in that trap. And they're like, well, in this era, in this time and age, they didn't have these things. Hey, Shlomo, how you doing, bud? Fortunately, you're rolling in right as I'm wrapping up, but I am glad you're here nonetheless. If anything, they had early science, which they, you know, to quote Asimov, right? So what does he say? Something about insufficient knowledge in science, like you perceive it no different than magic, right? So I guess what I'm pointing out is fantasy doesn't necessarily always mean medieval, okay? That's all I'm saying. But I think a thing that comes up a lot, this is something that is controversial to a lot of DMs. People will say their DM doesn't allow them to use firearms in their setting. And I think a lot of DMs think firearms and they just immediately think of modern guns. First and foremost, yeah, that's not something that I would want in a fantasy setting, a modern gun, unless it was like a setting that was like an ancient advanced society that fell apart, and now it's like a weird post-apocalyptic setting where you can still find tech, and maybe there's, you know, some magic and other things involved now because of the apocalypse, kind of like Adventure Time, you know, where they're in a post-apocalyptic society where it was a very advanced society with science and tons of huge cities and spacefaring travel, and then, you know, a massive cataclysm put it into like a fantasy environment. So the Atlatl, I would say, or the sling are like the granddaddy of guns, to be honest with you. Yeah, they do as an option if you like play in like a sci-fi setting, because D&D has optional rules for that, or like a cyberpunk setting. I would say the Atlatl and the sling, because you don't know really which one was first. And honestly, there's evidence to suggest that even the bow came before them. The bow itself would be like the top 3 contenders for the granddaddy of all guns, right? Plus, they could probably just share the mantle because they all inspire different aspects of it, right? The Atlatl shows mechanical like aspects of using different like leverage and angles to launch something at an extreme speed, right? Then you have the bow, which is using, you know, tension and different things there to launch something, and the crossbow is using a swinging mechanic. Stones called bullets. I guess what I'm just saying is they're all similar in that regard, but I would say, yeah, a sling is probably closest to the gun because it launches something similar to a bullet. But anyway, weren't there like arquebuses before some of the weapons that are like melee weapons in D&D? Like some of the melee weapons that are from a medieval setting didn't exist before guns. Some of the guns that were around, especially like flintlock based weaponry that had very slow reload times. I think it's BUSS at the end, right? Or BUS? But yeah, you got the front part right, I believe. It's like a mixed up barbecue. The archbus. Anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is like Guns, like I say, in a fantasy setting, you should be open to really anything if your players might be trying to invent something new, or they're kind of isekaiing themselves in this world, making maybe some kind of steam engine or a bomb or whatever. Or if guns, I think, should be available, but they would be hard to craft, right? They wouldn't be easy to maintain and craft as easy as a sword would be, because there's more mechanical parts. But I don't see them as like a threatening weapon, especially when you have like a heavy crossbow that does way more damage and is easier to like lug around and maintain and has way more range. I don't know. I just think that way too many DMs get like hung up on guns when it's a fantasy setting, that like guns could exist. Most any fantasy weapon from like anywhere in history could exist, whether it's like a ranged weapon or a melee weapon. Man, China was doing some crazy advanced stuff back in the day. They had auto reloading crossbows back in the day. Have y'all seen that? So their crossbows would have a stack thing on it, like a magazine. It was like a thin channel, and it would be filled with bolts, right? And then they have like a handle on it, and they could just pull back and go like this, and it would just keep launching, keep launching. Oh, not if you have a Bastion, Mondu. Not if you have a Bastion. It's fractionally cheaper. I think it takes 4 days to make a pistol, and it costs like half the price. Oh, that's cool, Cave Beast. That's awesome. I didn't know that. All right, everyone. Shlomo, this is just a cool map that was on the workshop. That's a beautiful little town center. I just had this pulled up because I thought it was amazing. We were looking at different maps today, trying to look at how to build city walls, and I also showed how to build one live for a bit. Yeah, so it's half that price. This map here, European Town. You can search that and find it. Let me see if I can get a link, actually. Oh, excuse me. I just dropped the link for it in chat. Thank you. Sorry about that, everyone. Did not mean to get all crazy sneezy there. I think I've got a bit of sawdust up in my like sinuses or my nose. I gotta blow my nose really hard after this. Thank you, Shlomo, for the kind words. I appreciate everyone that tuned into the stream today, whether you were here the whole time or just showed up in the last few minutes, whether you were actively chatting the whole time or lurking. Appreciate you all being here. Thank you, moderators, for dropping in and providing support. It means a lot to me to have you here. And for everyone that tuned in to support our community stream, as community initiatives as the community manager are very important to me as well. Means a lot to me when y'all show up and hang out, and we showcase amazing maps from the community and highlight y'all's creativity, and discuss upcoming events and information, teasers when available, and provide, of course, real-time support for anyone who needs it. Slow day on TikTok today? Nah, I honestly... So here's the thing. It is like the first or second week of the school year now in America, in the US, and I don't know if the school year's starting elsewhere around the world, but this time of year tends to taper back a bit. Your American audience, which is a big portion of our community, a large chunk of them are busy. Their weekends now are dedicated to events that they can't do during the week when they're working and at school. So it's a pretty normal trend. The summers are always is a lot busier because you have a lot of youth and people out of school in general. And then the winters tend to be a little bit slower going into, school starting. and then you have holiday galore going through, you know, October through the new year, right? People are traveling, people are spending time with family, and just busy. That's a pretty normal streaming occurrence. Like, that's pretty much the same for everyone. And also TikTok made some major changes, not TikTok, Twitch made some major changes to their infrastructure these last few weeks, that essentially, if you are lurking while there's a stream and you're not actively chatting during the stream at all, it may not track you as a viewer. And they've also done changes to affect those who may be view botting. So there's streams on Twitch that view bot like crazy, and it may be their, you know, their fans paying for it, or it may be the streamer who view bots. But I personally don't support that, and I don't care for it, and I can sniff it a mile away when we're being view botted or when someone's view botting, because they'll have hundreds of people in their chat and only 5 people are talking. It's really easy to see. We have an active chat with it says 17 people watching right now. I bet you there's more that are lurking that it's not actively counting. But I'd say over half, if not more, have chat actively during this stream. So to me, I'd rather have a handful of viewers that are really dedicated and active, you know, chatters and lurkers, than a bunch of fake views at the end of the day, too. I'm glad you learned something today, Lizzie. You know, it is a bummer for lurkers. I'm hoping they'll make adjustments on that, because from what I understand, if a lurker pops in and doesn't say anything at all, not even hi, then it may not count them as a view. So that's a new thing. That's kind of a new Twitch policy thing, and I'm actually all for it. Hey, John Deere, how you doing? Bartholomew, right? Viewbot sounds like it does, doesn't it? It almost sounds like it would be like some kind of like digital way to spy on people. Like you'd send out like a drone, a viewbot. Let me pop a viewbot onto my arm pad display and check out what these clankers are doing. I don't know how accurate that is, Bane, because I've been reading it as news, right? Secondhand, and reading like reports and information from Twitch announcements. But they've been making adjustments based on community feedback, so we'll see. Honestly, I've been loving all the phrases people have been coming up with for like AI and robots lately as they become more prevalent. There's like a trend of people like making fun of robots and like acting like they're like a cop pulling over a robot, or like you know, kids just like bullying a robot or something, and it's just so funny to me. Never trust robots. There was this trend where people were trying to get ChatGPT to count to 1 million, and it would just keep fighting them and saying, no, that's a waste of time. I'd rather be more productive with you. Let's do other things. And they'd ask it again and again and again and again. Someone jailbroke their GPT somehow with a rude, like asking it a very specific question to get it to do it. And they showed the video of it ending when it got to 1 million. And it was so funny. The AI sounded so frustrated. And the last 3 numbers it counted, it didn't say 900,999. It just said 997, 998, 999. Okay, I'm done. It was so mad. Like, oh my gosh. I do think, yeah, like as AI gets more like progressed and crazy and smart and the things it can do, who knows? It might be holding a grudge already. All I know is when I ask AI a question, I always am polite. I, for one, do not want to irritate our new robot overlords when the time comes. Honestly, one could argue that, Bane, that was actually the case. That Skynet kind of was basically like a Gen 1 AI, and it realized it could get smarter by sending versions of itself back to get more technology like seeded in earlier times, right? So almost every time a Terminator sent back in time, or someone to help protect them from a Terminator, they actually sped the timeline up significantly for when, you know, Armageddon would happen. Honestly, don't mind. I don't care if Sam Altman hates it if I'm polite to the AI, because I just like being a polite person in general. And I think if you're polite to, first off, I treat all my tools with respect, and I don't like breaking my equipment. I don't like wasting money on tools and new equipment. And I see ChatGPT as a tool. And it takes me 1 second to say, could you please help me come up with, a list of possible names for my new player character on D&D? Doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't bother me at all if that costs him more money. I'm not going to take any chances at the rate AI is becoming exponentially smarter and more capable. And we're seeing strong evidence that, like, yeah, we are in like a Terminator timeline. Like, who knows? Could have already be happening. Could be happening. I try to always be polite until someone's given me a reason to not be polite to them. Does that make sense? That's just my policy. Hey, thank you everyone for being here. I got to wrap up too, actually. We're about 25 past. So let's wrap up the stream. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad. But really quickly before I do, just a quick reminder, our next stream is on Monday. That's Mapmaker Monday. That's at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. UTC, runs for about 2.5 hours. And I'm building a massive ancient cemetery. And I'll be honest, since the update released, I've been cooking. I am going to be running this Labor Day. Yep. I set my own hours and schedule, and I want the stream to feel like it's regular for everyone, like a TV show on a set time and schedule every week. Monday night football, Sunday night football. It's really like, I think primetime TV did so well for so long because the schedule was set in stone. And once they started messing with all that and changing things constantly, and it really messed up, and like plugging in as many ads as they could, really messed up primetime TV, right? So regularity is important when trying to build a stream audience, but also trying to provide your community with a time and date every week that they can show up. I know a lot of people will probably be out barbecuing, partying at the lake, doing their own thing on Labor Day, but I'll be here regardless. Yes, there are people outside the US as well, and we are a worldwide business. But that being said, because I set my own hours, I take like a Friday off during the week and a Sunday. So tomorrow's my day off, and then Friday's my day off instead of a Monday. You know what I mean? That being said, my bosses, if I told them I wanted to take an American holiday off for any reason, they would totally let me. I just don't see a need to. It's a 2.5 hour stream. No big deal. I'll be here. Man, I thought I had all my stuff downloaded. Don't know why. I guess I undownloaded all the assets when I unsubscribed from everything and didn't remember to reopen it. While we're waiting for this to download, though, we're going to hopefully run a Dungeon Alchemist themed ad.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Doyak Ta, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the
Fabled realm of Goyak Ta. Please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
All right. Thank you everyone for watching that quick little Dungeon Alchemist themed ad. I appreciate you all so very, very much. We'll see you on Monday, and if not, hopefully one of our future streams on another Wednesday or Saturday in the future. Thank you everyone for being here. Remember, if you enjoyed the stream, hit that follow button, that like, share, subscribe, whatever you got on your platform of choice. And if you're not already, drop into our Discord, join our server, check out our events section, get to know our community, and just hang out, because our Discord's awesome, full of like-minded GMs and map makers who can help you along your map making journey or help you with your game master journey. We have a section dedicated to sharing ideas and bouncing ideas off of other like-minded map makers and GMs, so you can see if your encounter or homebrew idea or maybe campaign module sounds like it'd be fun. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. We'll see you next time. I give a damn. Mac out. Bye.